And then I just said, screw it. Like, I'm just going to go all in on this. I don't know how the hell I'm going to make it work. I mean, I'm only at 750 followers and I'm barely growing. I'm just going to go all in on this. I'm going to drop out. I'm going to quit my job at Domino's. And I made the decision, and I just had this confidence in myself.
You went from 0 to literally within a space of a couple of years, like 500,000 followers. So you're watching followers go up, you're watching likes go up. Did you ever feel yourself falling into the social media game?
Like, I remember last launch, I made a decent amount less. I was like, fuck, I only made like this much. It's like a lot of money. But it was like, because comparing it to like the last one, I just stopped and thinking like, this is stupid. Like, I make this much money, people don't make this in a year, and I'm feeling disappointed in it. It was such a trap.
What conclusions have you come to about faith and meaning in life?
I prayed for the first time in like 15 years.
Wow.
I was like, God, I don't know if you're real or not, but can you just give me a sign, like what decision to make here? Because like, I just don't know what's going on. I know so many people with 500K followers that are just broke. So I think more people are going to realize, oh, the key is to build a quality following that actually has authority.
We are live.
For the second time, we're going to pretend like the first one didn't happen.
This is big, ladies and gentlemen.
So big.
This is big.
Biggest podcast ever.
Until I have Trump on, that'll be big.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But this is big. First in-person episode of the Story Vault podcast. Guest joined by none other than the man himself, stopping by London, Dakota Robertson.
Thank you. I would reach this way, but
Now, it's good to have you, man.
Yeah,
You're in
man.
London?
yes, sir.
I know. I remember I was listening to a space and heard that you're in London. I was like, dude, we got to do it. So I was
Yeah.
like, reach out. Hopefully you'll get cut through all the terrible cold DMs that
Yeah.
you get.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. It's a shit show in there.
And do it. So, man, I'm stoked. Thanks for coming on.
Of course. Appreciate you having me on, brother. Excited.
It's going to be fun.
Right
So,
back.
London, how's it been, man? Obviously, you're in Canada. You hop around.
Mhm.
How's London been? How's the experience been here?
It's been solid. You know, going into it, I wasn't sure how I was gonna like it because a lot of people from London talk shit about London.
Yeah.
And no, it's been nice. I mean, it's nice, walkable. You can travel everywhere. Food's been good. A lot of stuff to do. A lot of people from Twitter here, which is cool. I don't think I would want to live here full time. Just a lot of people. I don't think that's my thing. Just like too many.
Too
but,
crowded?
Yeah, but I mean, overall, I like it. It's solid. Yeah.
Spending like 75% of your
Oh,
expenses on living
yeah.
here.
Yeah, it is pricey here. It's crazy.
I know, dude.
But no, overall, it's solid. Yeah.
Nice then. Yeah, London's cool. It's been crazy last couple of years. Yeah, it is crazy. Some of the things taking place, but
Yeah.
it's still awesome to come and visit. You know, because your first time in London,
Yeah.
Europe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to visit London, culture and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So let's dive in, man.
Let's do it.
The Story Vault podcast, where I chat with experts, entrepreneurs, thinkers. I call it extracting the gold from their stories and discovering the secrets to their success. So it's fun, man, because we were saying on the way here, just reflecting for a minute, because, you know, I started the Twitter personal brand journey, 18 months ago.
Mm.
I remember just like, you stumble across money Twitter, everyone's on politics and soccer and stuff. And then
Yeah.
you realize, like, what the hell? There's this section of Twitter and people are like, making money and like hitting like 50K months and 100K months, and like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And you get hooked in. And I remember coming on and coming across your stuff, your content, and I remember I was on the way to my job at the time, SEO job, and on the train I was like educating myself in every bit of free time I had, and I was watching a thread writing masterclass. And so here we are, man, doing a podcast together. So I feel grateful.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy the nature of it. You know, you get into it, you get indoctrinated into the money Twitter crowd, and then you start learning all this stuff. And for me, it broke a lot of paradigms and just things I thought were possible. Like, oh shit, you can make 10K a month. Oh, this guy just made 50K or 100K in a month. Your brain just tries to comprehend it and it just doesn't make sense. But then you get in the game long enough and you realize, oh yeah, I mean, if you just build up leverage and you learn these different skill sets, well, yeah, it's more than possible. And then you're like, oh, why can't I hit $1 million a month or eventually like 100 million. It's all possible. Depends how far you want to take
Sure,
it.
sure.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I think it's so weird because I think for me it was really cool because I've obviously had social media and stuff, but I'd never like been a creator. Like I was always consuming content. And, in my case, I wanted to start a business. I had big dreams to get married, move to Germany. I wanted to have some independence. And it's cool because I actually started out as like an anonymous finance account.
Mm.
And it was funny. But then I kind of stumbled across money to it. But it was cool because, like you said, it shattered a lot of beliefs because I actually was trying to find a platform where I could build that no one knew me. I didn't want to go on Instagrams for my friends and family to see me. Didn't want to go on Facebook. And I found Twitter. But it was crazy because you break through those limiting beliefs of like, oh, actually posting content's not that scary. People, even if they do judge you, they probably judge you for about 5 seconds and they've got to start thinking about themselves anyway.
Mm.
And yeah, you just meet incredible people. And then next thing you're building skills, putting offers together. And I probably learned more in 12 months on Twitter than, I don't know, like 4 years at school.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty crazy, man. So I want to delve, I've got so many cool questions that I've wanted to ask you, but I wanted to delve, first of all, into your beginning on Twitter. And I know you've done many podcasts and shared your story, so I want to go maybe from a few different angles. But what's really cool is you have this infamous banner, right? Which is a banner on Twitter of your journal entry. I believe it's September 24th, 2020.
Yeah.
And it's this infamous photo of like just some classic writing. I couldn't even make it
Yeah,
out
it's hard
because
to
it's
read.
like,
No one can read it.
but it's very nostalgic. It looks classic.
Yeah.
So bring me back to that. Who was Dakota then? Where was he? What was he feeling? And what did you write in that journal entry?
Yeah, so that was September 24th, 2020. And up until that point, for the past 3 years leading up to that, I tried a bunch of different stuff, like different jobs. So I was an electrician for a while. I was first aid attendant, delivery driver, server, security guard, all this different stuff. And I wanted to build a life of freedom, and I just saw these different jobs as just stepping stones. And while I was doing those different jobs, I was trying different side hustles like Amazon FBA.
The classics.
Yeah, I tried day trading for a bit, crypto.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that was the shit show. Never lost $1,000 so fast in my life. And repairing iPhones, flipping them, selling stuff on eBay, going to thrift stores, selling it, different stuff like that. But just none of it panned out. And I just got to the point where I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to get a real career and get my degree and become a high school teacher, teach English and psychology. And I was like, you know what? If I can't figure something out until then, whatever. And then I guess I can spend my summers as a teacher trying to figure out how to, I don't know, maybe make something work. But, worst case scenario, I become a teacher, make 30K a year, and just do something I enjoy, just be broke.
Have the summers off as well.
Yeah. But yeah, at that point, I was working a job at Domino's. I was in my second year of college, and I came across a course on Twitter, just promoting how to grow your own Twitter account. And I was like, well, this looks interesting. I mean, it's a $40 course. I've never really tried growing my social media or wasn't a big poster on it. And I was like, yeah, whatever. What do I got to lose? So that journal entry was me saying, bought this $40 course on how to grow my Twitter. Don't know what's going to come of it, but I figured it was worth a shot. And I just love that journal entry because it's just that turning point of like when my life changed. And it was just me just saying, fuck it. Like, let's see what happens. And that's been a big theme with my life. I'll just say, fuck it, like, let's do it. And then it's just amounted to these cool opportunities.
Wow.
So even though no one can read that entry, really, because my handwriting is, like, very, I guess, messy, cursive, it was just, to me, it's meaningful. And even though other people can't read it, I love it. So, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Do you still have that, like, journal?
Yeah, I got 3 full journals. And I started journaling in 2018 because I was an electrician, and I was working in the oil and gas industry,
Right.
and I was just fucking almost depressed, man, because you're surrounded by miserable people, and you're working 12 to 14 hours a day. All you do is eat, sleep, work, and I wasn't exercising, and it was just horrible because I was the youngest guy on the whole crew, on the whole job site. So of course you get flack, you get to assign the
Oh
shittiest
man.
jobs. Just everyone's just kind of against you almost.
Dang, dude.
It's just like, God, I hate this, and I just didn't know where to turn to. I didn't have anyone to talk to because I was in a different province than my family and
Mm.
friends. So I just like, well, I'm gonna start writing and see what happens. So it's cool to see the start of when I started journaling and all the memories I've had along the way, and just reflecting on how far I've come. It's been really cool, and it's one of my most cherished possessions are those journals because, I can look back on that when I'm 70 and just
Wow.
see my
Yeah.
whole life, and just there's so many memories I forget about. And when
Mm.
you actually journal it, it allows you to relive those moments. It's really cool.
Bro, that's awesome, man. Like honestly, like I feel like as we progress through life and we achieve things, we go through highs and lows. I mean, I'm not sure if there's anything really more powerful and meaningful than having a moment like that you've written down.
Hmm.
And now, after you bought a $40 course on how to grow on Twitter, and now you've got more than 500,000 followers across
Yeah.
socials, you've changed your life, built a business, you've do something meaningful, you have that freedom to do what you like, travel the world, um, write online, have an impact. And so to look back at that, I mean, it must be so, you must be so proud. And just like, what else can you find success in apart from, wow, that was
Yeah.
when I was in a dark time, and now, I've changed life.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for it.
Sheesh.
It's been a ride.
Yeah,
Still
yeah,
a ride. I mean,
yeah,
I'm still learning so much.
sure.
But yeah, it's cool, and it's gonna be cool because I'll probably just give it to my kids someday. They can
Oh
just read
yeah,
it and just see
legacy.
it. Yeah,
Love
if
that.
they want to read it, if they can read it. Yeah.
Man, that's amazing. I want to jump into I believe it was like a year later. So this made me laugh when I heard this and I read this. So I'd love for you to unpack this. But so you've got that journal entry, you start building on Twitter. I believe a year later, you'd been growing your account. I think you'd grown. Was your account called the Philosophy of Fit?
Yeah, that
It's
was
like
when I
a
started.
anonymous fitness
God.
account. A couple of months, you'd grown to a couple hundred followers, like 750 or something.
Yeah.
But then I know there was a day at college where you were at college wrestling with like, building. You're at college. What am I doing? And there's this college class where the teacher said to you, "Okay, everyone, what I want you to." Sorry, I have to laugh because it really cracked
So
me up.
stupid.
I want you to mime a weather system that you like. And I know you were like, what the hell am I doing? So
Yeah.
what were you studying? What was going on? And how did that day like change everything for you?
So yeah, I was getting an arts degree. So
Arts? Like
yeah,
arts like
like
art,
not like an
drawing
artist,
and
but
painting? Oh, okay.
so you can get a bachelor of science, or you can get a bachelor of arts degree to become a teacher. I'm like, well, I'm gonna do arts because I'm more creative. So it's English. That I wanted to be an English teacher. Well, actually, I want to be a psychology teacher, but you have to get an English degree to teach as a high school teacher with what I wanted to do. But yeah, so they make you take these uh, just courses that are relevant to what you actually want to do with your degree. And one of the ones I had to take was Aboriginal Studies.
Ah, okay. So one of these like side classes.
Yeah, and it was funny because it was like white lady teaching it, and I don't know, like it's just really tacky. A lot of the shit she was kind of pushing, like a lot of political stuff she's pushing, and I was like, why am I taking this fucking course? Like it just doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, I think it's important to you remember history and stuff like that, but like this is completely irrelevant to what I want to do. Like why I don't get it. But yeah, on the first day of class, it was on Zoom because of COVID and all that.
Ah,
But
yeah.
she had this she had this keynote, and she's like, "All right, class, I want everyone to go around, and I want you to mime a weather system that you're feeling." And I'm just like, what? I screenshotted it because I just thought it was so stupid. I was laughing.
Jeez.
I was like, "This is
And you're
crazy."
on Zoom too, so you're not even
Yeah,
with people. You're just like,
yeah. It was
I
just,
gotta go into a breakout room and talk
yeah.
about
I'm
this.
like, are we kids? Like, what are we doing here? It was just so ridiculous to me. I just kind of felt like, I don't know. I just felt like I was being treated like a kid. I just couldn't take it seriously. And then I'm looking at these other courses I'm taking. We got to take biology, and like I had to take German, and like, what is going on here? This feels broken to me. And like I get you want to kind of get people learning different things, just kind of diversify them. But it's like,
Sure.
that should be a choice, in my opinion. And I just wasn't game for it. And then, especially because you got to pay for these courses and you got to pay for the textbooks and all this. It's like, come on now.
Mm.
And during that time, that was like the first 2 weeks of college. And I'm just delving into this Twitter world where I'm learning like different stuff that's actually applicable to my life and from
Yeah,
cool
yeah,
people that are actually teaching actionable stuff
yeah.
that's applicable to the world rather than stuff I'm just not going to remember in 2 weeks. And I just look at this, I'm like, okay, I mean, I can go one way or the other. And the more I went through the coming weeks and months, the more I just realized like college is just a joke. At least the one I was going to because I was getting an arts degree. And then I just said screw it. Like I'm just gonna go all in on this Twitter stuff. I don't know how the hell I'm gonna make it work or
Yeah.
what the hell's going on. I mean, I'm only at 750 followers and I'm barely growing. I was just like, fuck it. I'm just gonna go all in on this. And
Mm.
so I made the decision, okay, I'm gonna complete this semester, but at the end of it, I'm going to drop out. I'm going to quit my job at Domino's and I'm just gonna just go all in on Twitter. And
Jeez.
yeah, I just made the decision and I just kind of had this confidence in myself. It was weird. It was like I don't know what the hell is gonna happen, but I'm just
Jeez.
like I'm not doing this. I'm just gonna make this work. I'm not doing the jobs. I'm not going to college. If all else fails, I can always go back to it. That was my thinking. But if I keep going down this path, then I'm just gonna get more and more down this path, and the chances of me actually starting a business or actually making that work is just gonna be slimmer and slimmer because your liabilities go up as you get older. You got more responsibilities, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
still young.
Yeah,
Still got
so
that time.
I was 22 or 23, and I was just like, this is the perfect time. Fuck it, let's do it.
Hey,
So
bro.
yeah,
Man, that's only like 3 years ago, 4 years ago,
3 years.
right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
much can
4 years.
change.
4 years ago, I started
Dang,
creating content. 3 years I've had a business, which is crazy.
man.
Yeah.
It just goes to show, man. Like, you know, first of all, starting a business, yes, it's difficult. Like, yes, it's really hard, like it is. But in 3 years, you have achieved like that person you were like 3 years ago is like unrecognizable.
Hmm.
Where you were, what you were doing, even your social media, your business, your following. And if let's say you had started a degree 3 years ago, you would be 3 years into a degree,
Yeah.
like still figuring out, like still like doing exams and stuff. And hey, there's nothing wrong with university, like itself, like going to university. But we'll be honest, like I've dedicated this podcast to being honest and speaking some truth. Like unless you know exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it, and the path it's going to take and the return on investment that you're going to get, most of the degrees are just a joke.
Yeah.
Really, they just are. Like, unless you really want to become a doctor and a lawyer, and even then, have you thought about what it takes, how much money you're making compared to how much you're working? Do you even have any free time? What does your life look like? Even if you're making 70, 100 grand a year, but you're working 60 hours a week. Um, and so if you had even done that, you'd be 3 years in, you'd still be studying right now, like maybe finishing.
Yeah.
And if you didn't do your business stuff, you'd be literally just passing exams and maybe, I don't know, working in electric still. So it's crazy
Yeah.
to think what you can achieve, in a couple of years, from, going in, all in on yourself. And massive props to you because, it can feel scary at the time, burning, the boats. Obviously, that's not for everyone, but in your circumstances, it was right. You went in, you took that risk, and here we are, man. So I think
Yeah.
it's exciting. So walk me through um, the space between when you said stuff it dropped out of college to how many months or weeks were in that gap between the ghostwriting start taking off? Because I know that when your ghostwriting stuff started taking off, clients like you, it was pretty fast. Like you were like getting clients, and your monthly income was taking off, and your life's changing. So how long was that gap between the taking, dropping out and going all in on social content, commenting, and all that stuff to it started to take off?
Pretty much like exactly a year. So
Whoa.
I dropped out December 4th of 2021, or 2020, sorry. And then I started my ghostwriting agency mid-November of 2021. Up until that point, I was just like learning how to create content. I thought I was gonna be a copywriter. I was trying different stuff. Uh, Eventually hired a mentor. He helped me piece stuff together. I took a while to
Shout
launch
out
a
Dan
website.
Co.
Yeah, Danco. I was building my website, spent way too long trying to come up with the perfect website and it was bullshit.
Classic, yeah.
Eventually launched in mid-November, and then yeah, I just started landing clients like crazy, inbound. I never even really promoted my offer, but just from creating content, people would look at my profile. They would click the website I had on my bio. They would look at it, like, oh yeah, it looks sick. And then they would fill out an application form, and then I would reach out to them, get on a sales call, and close them.
Jeez,
Um,
dude, that's awesome.
but yeah, like first client landed for 3K a month, second client 5K a month, another client for 3K a month. Did that 11K in a month. The I lost one client, the 5K a month client, because he was in ecom. I just didn't know how to get him leads. Like it was just like really hard. The first client we're getting really good results for. Third client was just a pain in the ass, so we fired him pretty much. And then so I'm back at 3K a month. And I was like, okay, I can figure this out as long as I keep getting good results for the first client. Yeah, then landed another 3,500 a month client, and then just started scaling it up from there. But yeah, it's been a crazy ride, and lots of ups and downs and learnings on how to run a business and
Yeah,
how to
yeah,
grow my own brand.
sure.
But yeah, it's been cool.
Crazy, man. Were there any moments like, because you said it was about a year before things started taking off? So you're obviously creating content, you're doing your thing, you're trying to grow. Obviously, like, you've left college, you know, of course, this is the reality of the timeline. It takes a while. It's not going to be like 2 weeks and you're going to, start making all this cash. It's a journey. But, in those 10 months, were you having moments like, flip, dude, like, I haven't made any money yet, or like, I'm not sure if I'm going to get there. You're freaking out maybe internally, like you'd left your job, or were you just like, you know what? I've given myself a deadline of a year or whatever, and I'm not even going to think about what's happening on the outside if I just put in the inputs. But that's all I'm going to look at.
hmm I mean, I saved up. I think I had 11K in my bank account,
Nice.
just from working jobs and all that, and I invested most of my money in crypto. To be honest, like since 2018, I was dumping all my paychecks in it. So I had a good amount in crypto. I knew I could always fall back on.
Oh, that's helpful.
But yeah, I was like, I'm not cashing out any of the crypto because I know this is gonna be like a long term play. So I was like, I legit have 11K in my bank account. Like I got to make this work. So yeah, I was creating content, doing all that stuff, and yeah, it was just like my bank account slowly going down. And then I was like, fuck, I gotta get a job. Like, if I don't make something work, I actually got a job as a security guard because I was thinking, okay, I can write tweets and I can study business while I'm working as a security guard because they don't do shit all.
Sure.
So I actually got a job for security guard in the summer of 2021. And I worked it for 2 weeks. It was going well. I mean, it was a night shift. It was kind of fucking my sleep pattern up. I was like, okay, I'm writing tweets. I'm like learning all this stuff, reading. Got laid off because of COVID. There's like more COVID outbreaks and all that. So I was like, oh, fuck. And then I invested in a mentorship with Dan Co. And at that point only had like
Oh,
8K
you
in my
really
bank
took a
account.
bet on yourself.
Yeah, I only had 8K in my bank account at that time, and his offer was 6K. And I was
Oh,
like, shit. I was like, fuck it, let's do
jeez,
it.
dude. Wow.
And yeah, a few months later, started landing clients, and
Wow.
yeah, but I just take risks. I like risks. I mean, it's
Like you
a
do.
calculated risk, not stupid ones, but
Sure, sure.
yeah, and yeah, I just had that drive, man, because I just know what it's like to work a job you don't like and just be miserable, and I just couldn't handle the thought of doing that for the rest of my life.
I rate that, man. And yeah, no, I mean, it's incredible. It's an incredible journey. And I think it's one of my real beliefs deep down as well is that, of course, what I'm not saying is take stupid risks, sell your house and move to, the other side of the world to build a business. I'm saying, of course, make wise choices, obviously. But hey, like we've got one life, man. This is going by so fast, like the click of fingers. This is moving. And what am I going to ask myself when I'm like 70 and 80 and I'm looking back at my life? I'm like talking to 20-year-old Aiden and 20-year-old Dakota. Like, what am I going to be saying? I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be saying, dude, you idiot, you took risks, man. Like,
hmm
you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have built a business. You shouldn't have. You're going to be telling yourself, dude, why didn't you do that? Why didn't you travel to that place, talk to that person, like, take that risk? in context of what I just said. um, and I love that because you shared, you took that risk and you invested in yourself. And man, here we are. So it's exciting. I love it. I love hearing people's stories. So tell me about a couple of the lessons, because I've got a few questions I really want to ask you, kind of post where we are now, what you're doing now. But it took off fast, like from going from like where you just said electrician to, you know, within the space of when you landed that client, I don't know how long it was, a couple of months, but you're like, you know, multiple five figures a month, you know, a business, you've got, you know, whole sales system, lead flow, a content. That must have been a lot. Like, how did you juggle learning, like making it work, not burning out? Like, what were some of the lessons there? How did you kind of keep up?
I mean, so in the burnout aspect, I think a big thing was I liked writing, I like content and marketing.
Okay,
So that was a big thing for me. I think a lot of people they burn out because they're in a profession they don't
you're
enjoy.
doing something you loved at least.
Yeah, so for me, I was burning out as an electrician because I hated every
Ah,
second of it. Um, but writing and building on social media was cool for me because it's kind of like a video game because you're in control, you have the leverage, you get to, you know, do the different inputs and uh, get different outputs, right? So it was a lot more fun for me. And I mean, definitely periods of stress because you're
sure.
juggling a bunch of clients, you're juggling your own brand, and it can get kind of hectic. But you just learn a lot by doing as well.
Yeah,
So for me, I was reading a lot at the start, and it was kind of a form of procrastination.
yeah,
But
been
I
there.
once I started landing clients and doing the things for myself, I was like, okay, I gotta take writing or reading has to take a back seat. And I just started applying a lot of the stuff
Mm,
and just trying to make up solutions for shit and just doing it. And that taught me so much more than just reading. So I think there's a time and place for reading, but I think at the start you got to do more action. Like yeah, read, but then you got to spend a lot of time doing the stuff.
yeah,
So I was just in a period of doing rather than reading, and yeah, it taught me a lot. And then now I read a lot. Like I spend an hour every morning just reading,
sure.
and yeah, I just think different stages has different calls of action. But yeah, a lot of it I was figuring along the way. Like I didn't have really too many systems in place. I didn't understand the importance of having processes
Right, right.
and stuff until I actually had the pain points. Like, oh shit, I gotta like have stuff in
Yeah,
place. But yeah, it's been a journey the entire time. I mean, I find each year there's a different skill I have to learn or focus. So at the start, it's you know learning how to write content, and then it's learning how to land clients and run a business, and then this year has been how to systemize, delegate, and create processes so you can get back your time and more leverage. So it's been cool, and that's why I like entrepreneurship because it's like a video game. You know, you can't progress to the next level unless you level up.
yeah, yeah.
It's really
Nice.
cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So yeah, I totally agree. How's that been for you, the systems and processes? Because I know it's developed so fast, and within the space of a year, you've built. Like I remember when I joined Twitter around 18 months ago ish. Obviously, you built your ghostwriting up, and within that space, you've done quite a lot. You've launched a ghostwriting cohort, I believe, two,
Four.
four.
Yeah.
So ghostwriting cohorts. Obviously, you've worked with some awesome people that helped them change their lives. Like I know we've had him on the podcast, Taylin, and he's from the same place as you, which is
Hmm.
nuts as well. Um, and obviously now moving into different offers. So how's that process been for you to like systemize everything? Are you that type of person who's like you have the mind for let me just like throw everything together? Are you like yo, I'm a chiller. I love like just kind of flowing with the life, spontaneous. Like how the hell am I meant to systemize this? How's that been?
Yeah, it's I'm definitely more of the creative type. So the systems and stuff, like I can do the systems. I think I can do a good job, but it's not something I naturally want to do. It's not like, oh yeah, let's do systems. I love systems. But it's become a necessity because I'm growing on five different platforms right now. I got Threads, Twitter,
Dang.
LinkedIn, what
Twitter,
else?
YouTube as well.
Yeah, YouTube, and then I think there's another one. But it's like a lot of content, and it's
Yeah.
repurposing different stuff. And I'm creating new content every day for these different platforms on top of a newsletter. And it's
Oh
just
yeah.
like on top of like running my own coaching program. And it's just like, holy shit, my brain's just exploding half
And
the time.
wanting to live and enjoy life too, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it was like, okay, I got to create systems and I got to like really do this, like build this all out. And I hired someone to coach me on how to actually do all that, how to think about systems and how to just create processes and basically buy back my time and leverage. So I went through that, and then I also paid someone for an Airtable system. That was absolute shit. I had to
Oh
pay
dang.
someone else, so that was like a 3,500 or 3K for that
Oh
Airtable
shoot.
system, and then I paid someone else 10 grand for like to build out an Airtable system. That was good. That was
Oh, thank
amazing.
God
That
for
thing
that,
is really
man.
good. That was one of the best, yeah, best money spent. But yeah, and then I've been learning Airtable and then applied my own systems in that Airtable. So it's like I got all the tools with Airtable and then I just apply my own systems thinking to it. So that's been going well, and I've been training my VA on how to navigate it and work with it. So it's been cool. And then yeah, it's been a journey. I'm still not like an expert by any means, but I'm way more organized than I used to be, and it's been a huge help not only for my time, but for my mental clarity. Because if you're storing all this stuff up here, it's just like you're on to the next thing and next thing and next thing. So, yeah, it's been a huge lesson for me.
Yeah, that's massive, man. Especially when many of us get into the game for time. Like we didn't come here to like spend our life working the whole time. Of course, you need to work hard, but wanting time back to enjoy life, be with friends, learn, travel. Those systems are just like essential. Otherwise, like you just get drowning, right?
Hmm.
Drowning in work, drowning in content and to dos. I wanted to ask you because I've definitely been here, and I've not even been in the game as long as you, and got to the level where I've got so many systems going on in terms of the content world. But I have found myself at times um, getting lost in the content trap and the cycle of like whoa writing content, and it's pretty crazy. Like even when you start having an audience, you start growing in followers. There's things start happening, things start moving in business and opportunities. And so I wanted to know, like, how was that process for you? Like, you went from what, zero to literally within a space of a couple of years, like 500 plus thousand followers, if not more now.
Hmm.
So you're watching followers go up like daily by crazy. You're watching likes go up by crazy. Did you ever feel yourself kind of falling into the social media game? Like, shoot, like the highs and lows of dopamine, of comparison, of kind of social media, the bubble. Like how was that for you? And like how do you do now?
Yeah, it's definitely a trap you can get sucked into pretty easily because you're comparing yourself to everybody else, and you're seeing you're measuring your worth or your progress based on likes and engagement. And yeah, it can be kind of brutal if you're just you don't catch yourself, right?
Yeah, man,
And
so
especially
true.
like once you really like learn it and you go viral, and then you don't go viral. You're like, fuck, like I need to go viral.
What am I doing wrong?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
it's like crack. um,
damn.
so it's yeah, I've definitely like chased virality a lot more so like years ago, a couple years ago, with Twitter, with Instagram, and I grew quite a bit because of it, like crazy amounts.
Yeah, I know. Like, wasn't it like I think in one year, like didn't you grow about 100K plus or something?
Yeah, on Instagram, because there's a trend, whereas like the Twitter screenshots are popping off, and then I had my buddy Dan, he popped off, and then I got Dan to share my, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna grow on Instagram, so I started hopped on that trend, grew to like 180K in like 2 months, which is ridiculous. The
Jeez.
Instagram algo was so cracked at that point, it was nuts. Um, but yeah, it was like kind of rode trends, and then just grew really fast, and then. Um, yeah, same thing with Twitter, just like riding trends, and like I just kind of stopped doing it because I was just focused on building my business. Like, yeah, I know what to do to grow like
Sure,
crazy,
sure.
but I just can't be bothered right now. And it's a lot of it too when you go super viral, you attract really shitty followers or bots and stuff like that. So for me, especially specifically on Instagram, I grew to like 220K. I just kept going viral stuff, but then it just attracted a lot of shit followers, a lot of bots too, I think. So I had to pay someone Fiverr to remove a shit ton of followers. So now I got like
Oh.
160,
Oh, dang, that's a
165.
lot then.
Yeah, so like it was like a 3 month process where we're like removing shit. So I don't think virality is what you want to chase for. I think you want to chase for
Good.
quality audience.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it doesn't hurt to go viral
Sure, more
if you're,
exposure and
yeah, if you do it the right way, I think. But if you're just doing these really just baseless, cheesy takes or like just generic shit, like I don't think that's good for your brand, and it hurts you long term because if you post anything like promoting an offer or your personal story, like nobody cares and your engagement suffers, and you're just stuck in this trap where it's like, oh, I got to create the really generic viral content to grow, and then you never really build a brand that way because you never establish yourself as an authority. People don't actually care about you. They just want the generic content, and
yeah,
it's just this shitty trap you get caught into, and it's just short term thinking. So
massive.
it's like something I try to tell people is like you gotta, yeah, you can go viral, but you want to do it centered around your skill or your story, not just some
Yeah.
generic stuff
Yeah,
typically.
definitely.
Yeah, so right now there's like the trend on Twitter where it's like, this is famous person, here's 7 lessons.
Don't start me
And
with
it's
that,
just like,
dude.
okay, I mean, they're just, they're not offering any of their own insight or any of
Yeah.
their own experience with it. And it's just super generic. And yeah, it gets you likes and followers, but
This
what's
is
the
Andrew
quality of it?
Huberman.
Yeah.
I spent 40,000 hours researching this stuff. No, you didn't, bro.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
It's a
get
lot
you.
of just bullshit. And,
Yeah, dude.
I mean, that's the game though. Like
Sure.
people want to play it. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So good, so true. Like having a understanding of how the game works is definitely helpful. How to write content, how to you literally getting organic traffic through content for your business, for your brand. Then yeah, like I've found myself needing to number one set boundaries on how I use social media, especially if you're checking your content, checking where it's going, how it's performing. Like, I'll mess with you, man.
Yeah.
So just do what you need to do, schedule stuff, check in for the minimum amount you need to connect, hang out, network, effectively, engage with your audience too, and so they see you're a real person that you care.
Yeah.
But yeah, apart from that, makes sense.
I like the email list.
Yeah,
I think that's the best indicator for growth. I mean, if people are taking the time to go to subscribe to your email list and they're staying on, like you got a high open rate and like people are actually engaging with your stuff, I think that's a good sign for growth rather than the social media because it's so easy to just hit follow, but to like go up, give your actual email to somebody, I think that's a like a
yeah,
good measure.
big trust, big
Yeah.
level of trust, especially nowadays. Email inboxes are just even getting more crowded too. As well,
Yeah,
right?
it's crazy.
I've got
Yeah.
even just so many emails as well.
Yeah.
Wanted to ask one more, couple more questions, like Biz, and then I've got a few maybe deeper questions it'd be cool
Cool.
to jump
Let's do
into.
it. Yeah.
So first of all, Biz, so you're obviously your lane is helping, people monetize their social media, build personal brands and monetize their audience through creating content, building offers and stuff. You've obviously gone through ghostwriting. You had a done for you service business. You built cohorts, so like done with you, like teaching people how to become ghostwriters, having a community. Where are you seeing like the creator landscape kind of evolving to now? So like, putting on your like prophetic hat, looking into the future over the next few years. Like, obviously, it seems as if coming on social media, which is a new marketplace of ideas, it is literally the best opportunity to, build a brand, build a business via social media. If you have expertise, you have a skill, you have an offer, you can literally write content, effectively build an audience, generate traffic for offers, and make great money and do something you love and make an impact and achieve some level of leverage and freedom to enjoy your life and have more time. So where do you see the next couple of years? Like, I don't know if it's maybe I don't want to say trends because I don't like chasing trends, but areas you see people can capitalize on, whether that's like platforms or types of content that people can really utilize now to really kickstart their business, more content, more offers, like eyeballs on their content, or just people who are starting out or want to just take it to the next level? What are you seeing now?
Yeah, so I think right now there's a lot of creators just creating for likes and engagement and just go viral. And I think they've kind of been sold a lie where they think, oh, yeah, more followers will equal more dollars, which is not true at all. I know so many people with 500K plus followers that are just fucking broke.
Yeah.
So I think more people are going to realize, oh, the key is to build a quality following that actually has authority. And I think more creators are going to realize what they're worth. Because a lot of them are they're just selling their endorsements on stuff for like really cheap prices, and these companies are just leveraging the fuck out of these creators that just don't understand their worth.
You mean like sponsorships and stuff?
Yeah, like sponsorships, affiliates, like
The
stuff like that.
influencer style.
Yeah, and I think hopefully a lot of these creators realize how much their worth and their traffic is worth and their
Wow.
brand is worth.
That's great.
'Cause a lot of people just don't understand it and they just get fucked. So I'm hoping more people realize that in the future, because if you have traffic solved, then you can get traffic just like that. Well, if you can direct that traffic instead of to somebody else's stuff to your own stuff, you can make way more money.
It's powerful.
Yeah, and I think you can do a better job too, because if you care about your brand, then you care about delivering a good product or a service, and then I think it's just a win-win for everybody. So I think the future, the creators will get more sophisticated and they'll understand their positioning better. But in terms of the whole creator space right now, LinkedIn is cracked for growth and the quality of audience too. Like TikTok, like sure you can grow really fast on there, but you just got, I think, people that are just more primed to buy e-com stuff rather than maybe a course or
Yeah, LinkedIn, you
service
got
maybe.
professionals, founders, business
Yeah,
owners.
I mean, depends like what you're selling. Like maybe if you're selling a biz op where it's just like make money fast. Like I know Cardinal Mason, he kills it. I think he gets a lot of his traffic from TikTok, and he's selling like kind of get rich fast stuff. Like I'm not even gonna lie. He like he's like if you want to make money like super fast, he knows what it is. So he's appealing to like those kinds of people. I think it's great if you like want that kind of crowd, but if you want people that are actually like in it for the long term and want to actually build careers or actually want to like hire an agency or something, like LinkedIn's great. It's
Yeah.
really cringe the creators on there, and that's why it's so great, because there's so few creators, there's so many people on the platform. I think there's like 1 billion monthly active users. And since those few creators that are creating on there, their content is cringe and it's just like robotic. So it's so much easier to stand out on there and grow. So I think there's a huge opportunity on LinkedIn that people are missing, just like Twitter back in the day when I started. Everyone thought, oh, Twitter is just like politics and
Yeah.
sports. But, since the focus was on the other platforms, it's so much easier to grow there. Now, a lot more people are on Twitter. And I think the bigger opportunity right now for growth is LinkedIn. So the smart people, I think, are
Yeah.
growing on there now. And then the flood of creators will come to that later. So it's just I like the term Gary Vee uses, day trading attention. So finding where the underutilized attention is and then capitalizing on that. And I think that's LinkedIn right now. But yeah, I mean, there's Instagram that's solid for sales. Like you can get a lot of sales on Instagram.
Really.
But it's a lot harder to grow because it's like the Olympics. All the best creators are on Instagram.
Yeah.
And you
It
got
feels like it's harder in terms of, you got Twitter, you've got to just test ideas. Instagram, you're putting reels together and editing to
Yeah, it's
compete.
a
And
lot
even
of
then,
work.
you're not guaranteed to find any work.
So yeah, it's a lot of work. Just like if you're scripting it out, at least for me, it's a lot of work. But that's why it's nice to repurpose stuff, because if I
Yeah,
create a
that's true.
real script, well, that can be a tweet, that can be turned into a thread, that can be a caption. So just find different ways to repurpose it, and I think that's why it's important to have a system on how you do stuff like that, because you're building once and you're leveraging it multiple times.
Yeah.
So it's really really useful.
Nice. Nice, man. Yeah, it makes sense. I know you're kind of bullish and you're, crafting the term the full stack creator at the moment.
Yes.
And it seems like for anyone who has a skill or some level of expertise, whether that's experience, it seems like an effective way to kind of put this all together at the moment is to understand some fundamental skills, writing, to get attention and effectively turn strangers into followers or email list subscribers and buyers. So you've got writing, you've got marketing, you've got sales. And it seems as if you can master a couple of these skills, whether it's those three, add psychology in there, add an understanding of email marketing, and just some effective life skills of just learning how to manage this all, you can either put all this together and create some kind of done for you service, whether that's being writing for other people, doing web design for other people. But it seems as if you do have some expertise and some knowledge, it seems like a really effective way to build something right now is to package that knowledge into product, into a program, and then obviously leverage all these skills like social media, writing to package up this offer, get people towards it, get people to join. And the product space, it seems like obviously it's more of a what's the word, attractive space, because who doesn't want to build a product? Who doesn't want to be put that creative output in? It's something that you own. A lot of the output is disconnected from your time. If people are buying once and you create it once, multiple people can buy. Are you seeing like digital products and like these programs as really like lucrative opportunity for people now? And who are the right people to be creating these? Of course, you want to be people who actually have expertise and actually know what they're talking about. But would you recommend that be like the go-to approach for like an expert or a professional who has a level of expertise and knowledge?
Yeah, I think it's different for everybody. Let's start with who should actually create products and stuff like that. So many people want to create content and then, yeah, I'm going to launch a course and, do cohorts and all that. And they skip the part where they actually learn the skills that they should be teaching later on. So they're just regurgitating what other people say.
Yeah.
Or it's like they'll create content and they'll create content about how to grow and create content. And then they'll create a course on how to do it.
It's like 19-year-old Jimmy with his life coaching offer.
Yeah, it's hilarious. But I think the right way to do it is, okay, learn a skill, get really good at it, learn the nuance of it, create systems and create a process for how you actually got your results, and then once you've built up the authority and the experience, then 100% sell a cohort or a course if you want, and just package it up in a way that's actionable and people can use and just do that. But so many people want to skip that step of getting the experience and earning the stripes. Yeah. So I think it's really lucrative though, because you think about it. If you, for me, for example, so I, at the start for the first 2 years, I was learning how to create content. I was learning how to build a brand. I was learning how to ghostwrite for people. And then once I grew my audience to like 100K followers, that's when I launched my offer, showing people how I grew my ghostwriting agency, scaled it up to 50K in a month. And and since I built up the authority, since I built up the social proof and the experience, people wanted to buy it. But so many people want to grow their following, not learn any skills, just grow it by doing trends and all this generic shit. And then they're surprised when they launch a course, nobody wants to buy anything from them. So you haven't proven anything. And that's why it's so important to build a quality audience and not just a following, right?
Wow.
So I think it's really, really lucrative if you build it the right way. And you think about it, if you grow 100,000 audience, even 10,000, you only got to sell 20 spots at 5K to hit 100K in a month. It's totally doable, right?
Wow.
So I think that math's right. Don't test me.
Yeah, you're right.
It's crazy, and that's how these people, not everybody, but a lot of these people are hitting 100K, 200K, 500K months, just because they're leveraging their audience, they're packaging up their knowledge, and they're selling it. So.
Yeah, it's amazing, especially if you're the right person with the good intentions who want to actually help people.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad actors
that can change people's lives.
Yeah,
it's really awesome. So what I'm hearing you say is skills are essential, stacking the skills, and a quality audience. So true. The right people, getting people who actually want what you have to offer, are in a financial position to invest, and are people you can actually serve.
Yeah.
100%. Nice. It's been fun, man. Time is cracking. But that was really awesome. Some really cool nuggets in there. I want to jump deep
Let's do it.
because this is the Story Vault podcast where we're delving into people's stories, finding out why they've become the person they are and why they are, yeah, the person they are now, and how that's shaped where they're going, what they think, what they believe. So I've got a couple questions. We could probably be here for 4 hours, and I know we don't have that time, and I'm not Joe Rogan yet, but I want to jump into your obviously, your upbringing. You've had we did a space about 10 months ago, and we talked a bit about this. But I wanted to delve into like, I know this sounds really crazy, and we're not going that super deep. It's not as deep as the question sounds, but how you've like become the man you are. So what I mean by that is, I have a big belief that fathers and dads, you know, they have their role, one of their roles, a bit controversial nowadays, but an innate role of a father is to instill courage and identity and strength and, self-worth. When you have a dad who's championing you and cheering you on and instilling sense of values and responsibilities. And obviously, I know you didn't grow up with a dad, and you've had an incredible journey and a crazy journey you've walked on. So, becoming the man you are today, obviously, without a dad being in your corner, how intentional have you had to be to really be the man you are today? Would you say it's literally just been through the hard grind of life and just letting life shape you and become that man? Or have you been really intentional to kind of um, heal in areas where you've needed healing or develop in ways that you maybe not were able to? Does that make sense?
Yeah, a lot of it was just trying to get away from pain. So, for example, I used to be a chubby kid and I did not like being made fun of. So I was forced, well, I wasn't forced, but I made myself go to the gym to
Yeah.
work out. And that taught me a lot of lessons about discipline, consistency, and showing up every day to even get a small result. And it just instilled that value in me. And then things like confidence, like I just really didn't like that. I was anxious in social situations and shy, and I forced myself to start talking to people more, like at the grocery store, small chat with the clerk, and just different stuff like that along the way. And it just wasn't really intentional. It's like I just don't like this about myself. I don't
Yeah.
like who I am right now, and I was like, what else is the option? Like I'm gonna do this my whole fucking life. So I was fortunate to kind of have the balls to do it, and I was scared shitless of a lot of it. Like I didn't know what the hell was going on, but
Yeah, it is massive.
yeah, and I was really fortunate to have good people along the way help me. So,
That's great.
jujitsu coaches, football coach, teachers. I mean, people on YouTube. Like I would watch Jordan Peterson
Oh
lectures and
yeah,
stuff
it's
like
great.
that. So just kind of brainwashing myself with good role models along the way, reading books, and yeah, just kind of picked up a lot of stuff from osmosis. I think that's the correct term.
Yeah.
Don't quote me. But yeah, it was just taking responsibility for my situation, my life, and I don't know where I kind of. I think I got it because I realized no one else is coming. Like I got to take
Wow.
responsibility in my life because if I don't, no one else is. Like my
Yeah.
mom was fucking working all the time. She's a great woman. Father wasn't around. My brother was living with my grandparents. I was alone a lot of the fucking time, and I was just didn't know what else to do. And
Sheesh.
I think each time I solved a problem and progressed, it's like, oh, if I just take action, I can actually do this. And it just instilled this. Okay, if I can do this one thing, like lose weight, I can probably apply this to becoming confident,
Wow.
or building a business, or XYZ. And I think each win just taught me a bit more about myself and instilled more confidence in my ability and my intelligence, and just progressed from there. But yeah, man, like just looking at where I started, like I was not confident at all. I was chubby. I didn't like myself. Um, and it was just like I just gotta fucking do this. And I think kind of talks to the human spirit. Like, you know, if
Yeah.
you're in a shitty situation, like you can pretty much do anything. Mind you, too, like
Awesome.
I wasn't abused or I didn't have any like like crazy fucked up shit happen to me as a kid, thankfully. But like, you know, so like all things considered, like I kind of had it a lot easier than many other people, which was
Sure.
fortunate position to be in. But yeah, yeah, it's a crazy
Yeah.
journey.
Wow, dude. Thanks for sharing.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I love that. Because I think what I'm hearing you say is obviously a lot of pain. We can't control that happening to us, right? Things happen to us.
Mm.
But what you've done with that, you've taken responsibility. You've been intentional to take control, you know, of your life, the help you're going to get, the to pay people you're going to invest into to get help. And I think that's huge because I know I feel like today this is more important than ever to talk about. I feel like we have a massive identity crisis. The role models we have, what we're learning in schools,
Mm.
um, the levels of, I mean, social media, the metrics of success, TikTok, we're scrolling our lives away. Like it's just nuts.
Yeah.
And so to be able to take control over your life and take responsibility for your actions and really, you know, delve into your experiences growing up and finding healing and finding the lessons and finding ways to progress is key. And I think it's just amazing hearing your journey, man. Like it's just only a few years. Obviously, that journey's been a lot longer, but it's incredible what we can achieve, right? When we just put our mind to it and we just say, it's not easy, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, you know it's not easy. It's storming the beaches of Normandy, like as a young
Dude,
man, like that shit's crazy to think. That's
dude,
not that long
so
ago.
true.
And it's like people are like, "Oh, you use the wrong pronouns." Like, shut the fuck up! Like, do you know like the shit that's going on in the world, like what people have to go through, and like that's the biggest problem you have is like this shit. Like, fuck.
Dude, it's honestly so true, man. Like I truly believe like a sense of just having a sense of gratitude and some, you know, first of all, just being thankful every day, not understanding what truly matters is just massive because like 100 years ago, we didn't have technology. We didn't have some of the ease of access we have now. In fact, some of our ancestors would be looking at us now with what they went through, even less freedoms, depending where you were, you know, raised in the world. And they're probably looking at us like, "You better go do something, dude. Like
Mm.
you've got the best opportunity ever in front of you to build a life, live free, all these freedoms you have. Like it's crazy." And I feel like we said, a byproduct of, I would say, you know, lack, in my opinion, lack of stable homes, lack of good education, as some of the metrics of success we're promoting, like I don't know how much money you make, how many followers you have,
Mm.
um, what people think of you. Like I think it's breeding a insecure, entitled generation, and not it.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. I was like, especially because you and I, we grew up, we're at the start of it, like before even social media, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then seeing the whole transition. Like, there's kids now that they don't know any world without social media or without all this access to everything. They're just kind of lost in it. It's crazy. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting experiment we're going through in this simulation.
I know,
That's
man. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Even me, like I think we probably left school around what, 8 years ago or something, 7 years
mm,
ago. Like I feel like I was having, you know, my, like for example, like a younger cousin who's only like 4 years younger than me or 5 years younger than me. I'm having conversations about his schooling experience, what he's learning, things he's going through and talking about. I'm like, yo, I didn't even know this existed. You know, I didn't even know this existed. Like when I was at school, we didn't have these conversations, we didn't have these problems. So it is crazy, dude. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, because I truly believe that, well, first of all, stable homes, good education, healthy worldviews are super important. And having that sense of purpose, I think that's huge.
yeah.
Deep down, having that sense of purpose, like what I'm doing is meaningful. I feel like I have a reason to exist. I'm doing something that is, very fulfilling, whether that can be anything, right? Um, but one thing I wanted to ask you, and maybe we'll kind of wrap up on this thought, is what conclusions have you come to around meaning, purpose, faith? So what I mean by that is, I love what Naval says, and obviously it's kind of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is our first needs are survival, right? We need to live, we need water, we need food on our plate, we need a roof over our head, and until we've got that, we can't really be thinking about our it's not as easy to think about our existence on Earth and what's the meaning of my life when I can't even drink water. Like, I'm focused on surviving. And then after that, we have different levels of needs, like, do I feel meaning and purpose? And then after that is like, how am I going to actualize my potential and fulfill my calling and all these things? So I like what Naval says. He says, okay, let's solve your money problems first. Not that's going to make you happy, but it is going to solve a bunch of problems that do give you the time and the freedom to pursue health and happiness in a deeper way. Not saying that you need material items and money to be happy, but it kind of opens up a fresh now discussion of, now I have some time and I'm not working for a boss all day and I'm not stressing about my life. I have more time now to start looking inside and thinking about, who am I, and like, why am I here, and like, what's the meaning for my life. So I'm curious to jump into that. Like, for you, how's that journey been? Like, you've, money isn't as much of an issue now. You have more time and freedom to explore. What conclusions have you come to about, faith or meaning in life and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I still don't know what the hell's going on. Like, I think we could be in a simulation. I think, God's probably real, whatever he, they, them, Caesar is. But yeah, like, I feel like there's a higher power. I don't know what it is, and I honestly think like it could be a simulation, and I think maybe there's like programmers, or it could be, yeah, there's like a big dude in the sky, or it could just be just the universe, whatever it is. But I think there is something. For me, it feels like everything's a big system, and everything just plays a role. Like, you think about the universe, how big it is. We're just specks of dust.
It's growing as well every second.
Yeah, and then we we can't even comprehend how big it is. And for us, like, my life feels like it's so big and it's just, everything's going on, but same thing for you. You've got your own problems, your own desires, challenges, all that stuff. And it's just so crazy to think like how big everything is. Your brain can't even comprehend it. And it's like, okay, a big bang just came out of nowhere and started everything. Like, what? And then what caused that? And then what caused that? And then what caused? It's just like, to believe a big bang is it takes just as much faith to believe that there's a god or there's a simulation or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think everyone has faith, whether they know it or not. It's just like, what are you choosing to believe in? Are you choosing to believe in that, like, you have faith that this big bang started and it all goes to black after? It's like, okay. Or you have faith that, there's a creator, which is like, that's a big bang. Like, this is just fucking, it's just like, what created that, right? Like, something created that. There's a creator. And
Yeah.
I think, whatever creator you want to believe in, whether it's Allah or Jesus or I don't know the other ones, it's like, yeah, like, fair, yeah, like, believe whatever, right? But I think having that higher power, that faith, whether it ends up being true or not, like, I think it serves a purpose in your life. Like, people that have faith, or they have higher happiness,
Yeah.
on average. I would say, or more purpose in their life, and I think they're a net positive for society, because when you live by rules, you abide by those rules. It's pretty much like, don't lie, cheat, or steal. Like, treat everyone how you want to be treated at the end of the day. I think that's like a net positive.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I think there's a God. I don't know what in particularly, but yeah, I just remember it was last year. It was in November. Okay, I'll give you the story, but
Yeah, I love it. Stories.
so when I was living in Panama last year, It was in the summer of last year, and I would go to the Starbucks and I would work sometimes. And one day I went to a Starbucks and I was working, and this man walks up, sits at the table next to me, and he's just, I don't know, on his phone, whatever, trying to like figure something out.
Like six just next to you on the table, like your own table.
No, no, like
Oh,
at a
okay.
table next to mine. It was like a
Okay.
booth, so
Okay.
it was like another table next to me. But yeah, he sits next to me, and I'm on a call, finish my call, and then he just asked me, he's like, "Hey, do you know where like a pawn shop is nearby?" I was like, "Oh no, sorry, man. Like I don't know where anything is." Um, but he's like, "Yeah, I'm like trying to sell my wedding band." I was like, "Oh, what, why?" He's like, "Yeah, well, I uh, I went to I came here as a layover, and I was in the cab, and we stopped at a gas station. So I went in and went to the bathroom and left my stuff in the cab. And I came back, and the cab drove off. And I had all my passport, all
No way.
everything, and I was like, "Oh shit, dude!" And he's like, "Yeah, I got to sell my wedding band to afford the ticket to get to the next place, and hopefully I can, get things sorted and like
Oh
have."
man, that's
Yeah, he
crazy.
was American too,
Oh, in
and
Panama, yeah.
yeah, he said he was part of the military or whatever. He's like, "Yeah, I hope my officer or whatever the fucking term is, but hopefully he can like wire me
Yeesh.
some money or something." But yeah, I gotta like pawn this off just to get some money so I can get out of here and like go to the next spot. And he's like, hopefully I can come back and buy the wedding band back. It's like, dude, no, fuck that. Like, here, I'll just go to an ATM, give you some money. So I walk to an ATM with him, give him $400, buy him a cab to the airport, and tell him to like just pass it on, whatever. Like, have fun, or not have fun, but like see you later. Good luck.
All the best.
And yeah, so I never see him again, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. And then so that was in the summertime. Um, September, I start talking to my ex again. We get back together, or whatever, and I don't know. We're just like it was good, and I had to go back to Panama in November just to sort out some tax stuff because I got to be there a certain amount of time of the year, and I'm staying in a different part of town, like completely different part of town in Panama, and I'm alone, and there's kind of like I don't know, I had some shit with my girlfriend, like she found some stuff, and I was just like, I just didn't. I had a decision to make, like, do I break up with her or do I like stay with her? Um, and I was just like, I was so confused, and I just didn't know what to do. And I remember I used to pray as a kid. I wasn't really religious. I just didn't like my life, and I would just like pray for a better life.
Wow.
Um, and I remember I was just like so confused because I love this girl, and she meant a lot to me. I just didn't know what to do with this decision, and I just prayed. I was like prayed for the first time in however long, like fucking 15 years. And I was
Wow.
like, God, like, I don't know if you're real or not, but like, can you just give me a sign on whether, like, what decision to make here? Because like, I just don't know what's going on. And I ended up, I felt like it was right for me, but I ended up breaking up with her that day. Like, I didn't get a sign from God. Like, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do this. Like, it just feels right in my gut.
Yeah.
So within like, I think the next day after that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the movie. I want movies. I want to see. I forget what new movie it was coming out, but I wanted to go see it. So I went to the movies alone. Came back to the hotel I was staying at. I'm walking back to this hotel, and a guy stops me on the side of the road or on the side of the sidewalk, and he's like, "Hey, uh, do you know where the nearest mall is?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, it's over there. Like you should go over there, walk this way, that way, blah blah blah." He's like, "Oh, thanks, man. Like trying to find uh trying to find a pawn shop so I can sell my wedding ring." And I was like, "Where have I fucking heard that
It's
before?"
a different person.
No, but
Whoa.
he
Wait, what? I'm
no,
going.
no,
Where's this going, bro?
no,
This is cool.
he and I
I'm
was like, "Where did I
hooked.
fucking hear this before?" And he's like, "Yeah, like the craziest thing happened. Like I had this cab. I went to the restroom, came back, and as he's telling me this thing, I'm like, this is the same motherfucker from the Starbucks. This fucking piece of shit. I was thinking in my head, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, he was black, he was American, that he worked for the military, and I was just thinking in my head, like, this piece of shit, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, I was kind of playing into like, oh yeah,
The
like,
story.
whoa, that's crazy, man. Then what happened? And he's like telling me all the same shit. And he didn't remember me, he didn't realize it because it was months later, and he's probably done this to so many people. But I was like,
Jeez.
holy shit. And then I was like, you know what? This is fucking crazy. I don't know what the odds of this are, but you told me the same fucking story 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 5 months ago. It's crazy. It happened again. And you could see his face just change, like, like
Oh
just
man.
fucking control delete in his brain. And I just called him out. I'm like, yeah, you're a fucking piece of shit. And I was just going off on him, like, you're a loser. You're a 45-year-old guy trying to scam people in a fucking Panama. And it's like, you're just a loser. And I was just calling him out on him. Like, you should be fucking ashamed of yourself. And like, you're a piece of shit. You should go home, look in the mirror, and you should see a fucking loser. And I was just going off on him. And just get the fuck out of here. I was just, so whatever. But I just thought it was crazy because the parallels between my ex and that encounter, because met somebody, came in my life, told me one thing, and whatever, we went our separate ways, and then our paths aligned again, and I caught that person in a lie, just like I caught my ex in a lie.
Ooh.
And I was just like, fuck, like, what are the odds of me being in a completely different part of Panama, running into the same fucking person, and him calling to me and getting my attention, and me talking to him, and then catching him in a lie? And I just thought it was weird, like, the day after that I break up with my ex, and after me praying to God to, like, for a sign that happens. It's just like, I don't think coincidences like that happen, and I just thought it was really interesting for me
Yeah.
that happened, and I was just like, okay, like, this is just kind of on the nose for me
Wow.
that this would happen. So I think at that point I was like, okay, like, I think there's probably something, because all my,
Yeesh.
and another thing too, like, all my smartest friends were, they have faith in God, and I think that's a good signal when a ton of smart people actually, like, believe in the same thing. And I don't know, I just think, there's something to it, and I think that kind of signed for me, kind of pushed me over the edge.
Mm.
um so I think, yeah, there is something. I'm not by any means an
Right.
expert on
Sure.
the Bible or any shit like that, but I do think there's something out there.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, man. That's interesting. Do you feel like that sign was what was going on in your heart, like when you felt that? Was it like you felt like maybe feels like a sign that I'm on the right track, that someone's taking care of me upstairs, like that my life is going in the right direction? You know, like what was that feeling?
I mean,
Was it just
for
like
me,
a moment with like, oh,
for
just
me,
an acknowledgement
yeah, I
of
was
there
just
is
like,
something
holy
out there?
shit, like, that's crazy. I mean, for me, it's always been, I just want to do right by people. I always say, like, I want to progress in life, but I want to do it the right way.
Sure, yeah.
And I just, I don't do actions just like, oh, I'm gonna get into heaven, or like, what if there's a God, like, just insurance. It's just like, I just want to, like, like, I just know what it's like to
Yeah.
feel shitty about your life, or have people treat you shitty. And I just kind of want to help people just live better lives. And
Yeah.
um yeah, it's just, I don't know, man, like, it was just, for me, it was just acknowledgement, like, holy shit, that's crazy. But yeah, it's been a crazy journey.
Wild, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's wild. I always like that question because for me personally, yeah, I'm a follower of Jesus, and I went on, yeah, similar. I went on a journey of, first of all, a lot. I mean, I moved to America for that reason, to open my world to faith
Mm.
and different worldviews, to understand what I believe and why. And yeah, I came to a conclusion through a lot of historical research and scientific historical accuracy of events and text, and but also just my own experience, finding God be real. And I really discovered from that moment, it was interesting. It was like all the stuff is cool, like making money and finding progress, and I'm still on a journey. I've nowhere near made it, and I've got a long way to go. But I don't know. I just felt something changed that a day when I kind of pursued like a relationship with God and went on that journey. I found like something in my heart that all the other external stuff wasn't able to fully satisfy. Like it satisfied you, but then you were left hungry afterwards. Like I make money and then I don't feel happy afterwards or whatever. But I feel like it's something settled, and I guess that sense of knowing that you have a creator and he cares for you, he loves you, has a plan for you, and yeah, like there's hope beyond like this life. It was interesting. Like it changed my life and like gave me a fresh way of seeing the world. So I'm always interested in hearing people's journeys because at the end of the day, like I don't know why I think like this. Maybe it's because of life or my thoughts, but I really like what we were talking about at the beginning. It's a nice way to wrap up, but I really think a lot about that, man. Like how short this life is.
Yeah.
It's literally a click of a finger, and like for example, you know, when your health gets taken away, or you have health problems, and you realize 1 minute I'm worrying about how much money am I making, like, and you know, how many followers do I have, and you know, can I do this? And next thing you know, you can't walk, or like a family member isn't there, or you're limited ability in some way. You realize, like, crap, dude, like half of these things don't matter. So what does matter? And it is those big questions, like, man, why am I here? When I die, what's going to happen afterwards? Because I want to get that one right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, what's my meaning? How do I truly find purpose and truth? You know, the truth in the midst of all this chaos. Uh, so it's really interesting. Thanks for sharing your experience, man.
Yeah. It's crazy too, the world we live in. It's the seven deadly sins are just amplified. Like hyper palatable foods is
Oh
gluttony,
God,
vanity with social media. You name all the lusts, OnlyFans. Like
I
it's
know.
like it's crazy how prevalent all of it is in our society now, and you gotta be dialed in to try to live a life just a modest life, or like
Yeah.
not get caught up in the trap of like greed. Like I got caught up, like I remember last launch I made like a lot less than, or not a lot, like a decent amount less than the previous cohorts. I was like, fuck, I only made like this much. It's like a lot of money. But it was like, because comparing it to like the last one, and it's just like, I had to stop and think, like, this is fucking stupid. Like, I make this much money. It was just like a ton. Like, people don't make this shit in a year. And I'm like, I'm feeling disappointed in it. And it's
Yeah.
just like, I was such
No
a, like
way.
a,
It's crazy.
it was such a trap. And I was just like, what am I doing? Like, this is fucking stupid. And
Wow.
I just, you really got to catch yourself with shit like that, because yeah, you can get caught up in the followers game, the money game, whatever game. And same thing with like women, or temptation, right? Like Tinder, swiping, oh, rack up a body count, like to validate yourself. It's just so fucking meaningless.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
I love that, man. I think you're so right. It's really interesting. I feel like, I mean, it is super helpful because, like, we are real people. We need to make money. We need to provide for ourselves. But it's interesting when we can facilitate that in some way. We can start thinking about these big answers. But it's really interesting. I'm finding that, and this could be a whole another episode. Maybe we'll have to do round two on philosophy and
Yeah.
something deep. But I am finding now, like, I'm just going to say it is, it feels like the world is gone so chaotic in terms of what we believe is right. Well, there is nothing apparently is right and wrong anymore, and what genders we can be, and what is right about the world, and like just craziness of what we allow to happen, what we don't allow to happen. I feel like we've hit the point now where, at the end of the day, the way your belief system, your worldview, because it's literally shaping a culture of how we live. If there is no truth, then anything goes, which is what we're kind of discovering now. Just do what you want. You have your truth, I have mine. I can be a cat if I want. Like, you can't tell me I can't. Whatever, craziness. But I think we've come to the point now where we're discovering, like, this isn't working. Like, this isn't fitting. Like, we're getting the statistics when it comes to anxiety, depression, confusion around life, identity, meaning, and even just how this works out from a societal point of view, safety, national security, economics. Like, it's crazy. And I feel like I'm seeing, like you said, a lot of smart people, but generally a lot of people starting to open their minds again to like God and a higher meaning, because if this isn't working, and all of history in some ways, for example, the Bible helped shape a lot of Western civilization, some of it really terribly, unfortunately, in the name of God, not necessarily meaning that God himself was bad, but people who took God's name and used it for their own selfish ambition, sadly, misrepresenting God, but it also established a lot of powerful culture and way of living and safety and societal benefiting from God's ways of doing life. And I think that's really interesting how society is maybe leaning. If we're not going to collapse, what are we going to believe? So it's going to be interesting to see how that pan out, man.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
We're
Round
watching this
2,
live.
Aiden and Dakota next year. Is Armageddon on us?
Yeah, we'll do it with like a
If
fire
it is,
pit in the
I
background.
think I'm gonna join you in Colombia, bro. But man, I think this is a perfect way to wrap it up. You want to let people know if they want to get in touch with you, they want to follow you, potentially work with you. Obviously, you have a cool community coming up, helping people build, monetize their personal brand. So you want to let people know how they can get involved and what you're up to.
Yeah, I mean, best spot is Twitter. It's my main place. At Wrongs to Right. I mean, if you search up Dakota Robertson on any platform, it'll probably pop up. But yeah, Twitter's my favorite one, and YouTube. YouTube's great too. But I got a newsletter where I publish a lot of good stuff as well. But yeah, find me on wherever except for TikTok and Snapchat and Facebook.
Snapchat, so still going.
Yeah.
Well, Dakota, man, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you, bro.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for being part of episode 1, well, the first in-person episode,
let's
but
go.
the first in-person episode, hopefully of many more. So I really appreciate you, man. Thanks
Of course,
for
man.
the impact you've had on my life and all the great things you're doing, and excited to stay connected and seeing your journey, man.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, ladies and gents, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Story Vault podcast, where every Wednesday, today's Thursday, but it'll come out on a Wednesday, I chat with some of the greatest experts, thinkers, and entrepreneurs of our day to extract the gold from their stories and discover the secrets to their success. So you can check all the links in the description for Dakota's socials, his community coming up, his newsletter, and how you can stay in tune with the podcast. But thanks for tuning in, and until next time, peace.
Bye. Boom, boom.